Assalamu alaikum students. I hope you guys are taking interest in my video lectures. Let's start with a new video lecture. Here is Usama Tahir from Learn English with Usama Tahir. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The topic today we are discussing is quite popular these days and it's an emerging field in the language studies, and you must have heard this word from different people who are studying it or from on the media or somewhere on the social media as well. So most of the people don't know about it, and if they know, they know very little. So today our topic is linguistics. Okay, what is linguistics, and what is the difference between linguistics and literature? Because there comes, you know, some of the people think they are interchangeable, or some think that they're quite similar, or there's a lot of similarities between both of them. So what is linguistics, and what do we study in linguistics, and why we study it? So what is linguistics is going to be dealt in this video lecture, and why we study linguistics. So what is the need of it? Okay, basically let's define linguistics: this scientific study of language and its structure, including the study of grammar, syntax, and phonetics, sound system of language. So here one thing I need to clear is grammar is not everything. Grammar is a part of language. It's a system on which the language is based. But it's not the overall language, or it's not the overall thing that we are going to study in the language. So let's clear it first. Okay, the next keyword here is the scientific. Okay, literature is not something which is scientific, or which is like other uh, you know studies like physics, chemistry. They are scientific. Other disciplines like neurolinguistics, or they are all scientific. But linguistics is also, and yes, linguistics is also scientific. How it is scientific, we are going to learn it later. Okay, what is linguistics? It is a scientific study of language. Language is going to be studied scientifically, that how we produce sounds scientifically, involving physics, how they travel, how they process, I mean including biochemistry or including neurolinguistics, and how society revolves, and including the study of grammar. Grammar is just the system, and syntax, how the words are arranged, and phonetics, sound system of the language, and how one sound system of the language is different, like b, p, k, g. They all are sounds of English. What is scientific? As I've already explained, based on methods and principles derived from science and scientific experiments. They are proved from with the help of scientific procedures. So linguistics is something which is proved, which is explained and elaborated on the basis of scientific procedures. What we mean structure of the language? We most of the time hear this word that your structure, the sentence structure is not correct, or the way you speak, you make so many structural errors while speaking. So what is structure, by the way? First of all, structure is defined as how words, phrases, and other elements of the language are joined together in any language. I mean, in any language, the structure is different. For example, the structure of Urdu is different from the structure of English. Like, English structure is SVO, subject, verb, object. He eats chicken. Okay, मैं in Urdu, if I say मैंने खाना खाया, the verb is at the last. So structure will vary from one language to another. So you need to understand the overall structure of a language if you are learning it. And if you are acquiring it in your childhood, you don't need to be consciously observing the things, because it will be stress free. But we are talking about the learning of the language in adult age. Okay. For example, how you make an utterance by using subject, verb, and then object. It discusses the order of the elements to form meaningful expression. The subfield itself is called syntax. It is called syntax, in which we study the structure of the language. What is phonetics and phonology? Okay, most of the time we say this word together, but there is a little, or maybe the bigger difference in both of them. Phonetic deals with the production of sound of the language, like how you produce sounds with the help of your organs, like lip, tongue, okay, and lips, tongue, or teeth. How you're making sound like p, b, k, g. Okay, the so different speech organs are involved in uttering or producing such sounds, and we are going to discuss their place, how you are producing them, and what is your manner. And phonology is concerned with different variants and patterns of such sounds in same and in different languages. For example, t is a sound, but in t it sounds different, but in part it sounds quite different. So what is the position of the sound and how it is produced, pronounced, is totally concerned with in the is concern of phonology. Linguistics. Overall, what is linguistics? Linguistics is consists of phonetics and phonology study, in which we study sounds. Here we study variants of sounds, morphology, how we form words. For example, from agree we make agreement, from agreement we make disagreement, or from management we make mismanagement, from girl we make girlish, or from boy we make boyish. So how the words are formed, it's a system of word formation. Study of syntax, how we join the words and phrases to form sentences. The structure is studied here. Semantics, what do we mean by a specific word, is discussed in semantics. And pragmatics is what we want to convey from the word, which is not the vocabulary meaning of the word. For example, if I say, if I'm not saying it's cold outside, I say window is open. So my indirect pragmatics is I want you to close that window because it's cold outside. So I'm not saying that it is cold outside, please close the window. I'm saying I think this window is open. So in that way, or I'm thirsty. Instead of saying bring me a glass of water, I say I feel a little thirsty. So this is all about pragmatics, and we use it in our colloquial language in our daily lives. Branches. Linguistics has multiple branches, and it's a big discipline, and with the passage of time it is progressing, and a lot of new branches has come over. Psycholinguistics. Okay, it's linguistics, but it's about psychology. How we acquire, process, produce, and comprehend language. How we acquire the language, how a child acquires the language, the system and the procedure of acquiring the language will be studied, processed, and how we produce the language, how we process the sentence, and how we comprehend language is going to be dealt in psycholinguistics. It will relate the language with the psychology, with the mental procedures of the mind. Basically, language acquisition, language production, and comprehension is discussed in this field. Sociolinguistics. Study of the language on the basics of society. How society is using the language and how social classes are going to affect the language. Society can be categorized into age, religion, race, demography. From the age, language can vary. From the religion, with the religion, language can vary. Your race is different, your language will be different. Your area where you're staying is different, your language will be different. Language variation are studied due to race, social class, and areas. Language varies on the basis of your race. What is your social class? You're from poor family, you're a middle class person, you're an elite, or the area you're staying. Language and gender is also a branch and the discipline where we study the language on the basis of gender, that how male or females or the third gender is using the language differently. Okay, language is studied on the basics and framework of gender, and gender is the framework, gender is the basics. Subtle differences of language used by different genders are studied. How girls are using the language, how they are so much quick in learning, and how they are using prestigious and the standard variety of any language, and how boys are so reluctant and careless in using standard varieties. Women use less abusive words and male use it often, and intonation patterns are different. I'm not going to get into detail, but I'm just making my point clear. Neurolinguistics, brain functions that helps in language learning, production, and comprehension. How brain is processing the language and how you are comprehending the language by the nerves in your brains, and how you're comprehending it, how you're producing it, how you're acquiring it is going to be studied in neurolinguistics. Basically, psycholinguistics is making a relation with the mental processes, and it's making a relation with the brain. So brain is a physical organ and mind is an abstract. You cannot see the mind, but you can see the brain. So when language and brain is studied, it's neurolinguistics. When mental processes, mind and language is studied, it's called psycholinguistics. If you have any question, because this topic is quite a little difficult, you can ask me by putting your comments, by giving your comments in below the video. Okay, focuses on how brain works in order to process language. As I have already explained you, the the procedure of the brain for the language process is going to be dealt in neurolinguistics. Typically associate a language to the brain, that how specific parts of brain are responsible for language acquisition and production, like right hemisphere of the brain and the left hemisphere of the brain, how they combine, how they work together in language production and in language comprehension. So language comprehension and language production are totally divided into two hemispheres of the brain. So goodbye, this was all today. If you have any queries, any question, you can ask me below this video with your comments. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.